Hello. Thank you so much for coming along. So, yeah, thank you. And Jeanette's in India. Lovely to have you here. So, this week I'm bringing along more festive folds. I'm thinking this time of year, I think for every culture, it's a darker time of year. So, it's important to bring along festivity, a little bit of brightness and colour. And yeah, obviously, that normally represents lovely time together. And I have to say, this year I'm keeping away from my family because I want to keep them safe, and it's very hard, but it is a way of being able to help hopefully our society as well. Hello, Stephen. So to sort of try to help, I suppose, my own well-being as well as others, I thought it'd be nice to make little stars to send and include in my cards this year to friends and family, people who I'm not seeing but I'm thinking of, and I wish to express that. So a little while ago, hello again, Eric. I shared how to make a ninja star. I've brought it back because I think it hangs so beautifully as a decoration. It's a really beautiful thing. They're also quite they have a beauty to them, but they're also quite solid. Hello, Galen. Thank you for joining us. They're quite strong, so I thought they were actually rather good for posting. So I'll be showing you how to make one of these. Hello, Penny. Lovely to see you. But you know what I mean. You can see me. I can't see you. It's lovely to have you here. Thank you, Penny. So this one actually was just plain paper, and I just started colouring. So I really enjoyed doing some colouring. So I thoroughly recommend you can colour your own. If you have different coloured papers, now is your time to get out your papers and enjoy that. So here I've used a couple of different colours. I've been making lots of little small ones because I thought once you get going on something, you can start to make smaller things. They look rather pretty. Hello, Deborah. Oh, Anchor. Oh, lovely. Excellent. Excellent. Food dyes. Mm. Interesting. It's so great to have you here as a group. It really does feel like a group. I hope at some point we'll be able to see each other. But this is such a lovely support. I actually brought back some lovely papers from Korea. This was previous Easter, obviously not the Easter that's passed. And we went to Korea, obviously to South Korea, and we did actually go to the demilitarized zone. That's very interesting, actually, how much such a divided place celebrates and emphasizes peace, the wish for things to get better. So I found it surprisingly inspiring. Anyway, I bought some in Korea. I guess origami, from what I understand, paper was brought to Korea before Japan, en route from China. And so there's also origami paper folding in Korea. And yeah, they are really lovely. And actually, a lot of the Korean papers are sold as well by the British Origami Society. From what I understand, it's such a part of their culture in Korea, and from in education, it's part of their learning that children do. So there's all sorts of lovely papers. They tend to be a bit more plain, actually. And because I've been to both Japan and Korea, and I think very much of Japan is beautiful, amazing patterns, very refined, but very much patterns. And actually, Korea, I found there is a real simplicity. If anything, it's very almost kind of what we think of as quite minimalist. So actually, but I sort of think of the bright colours. But anyway, there's some lovely metallic papers I brought back from Korea. So I've been cutting them into little tiny, extra little squares, and I've been making a whole big pot of them. Look at this, to be able to send to friends. So if you have, oh wow, Korean kites. That's really cool. So many possibilities. So I would recommend that you find, if you have any coloured paper, now might be a good time, but you can do it in white. I'll show you how to do it quite plain, and you can always colour it afterwards. If you have any string or wool, something that you can then hang it from, that might be good. But I can show you how to make it, and you can always untuck it and then tuck in some wool later on anyway. But I rather like it with wool. I think it looks rather friendly and interesting. And I think these will make really nice decorations for you, or, as I said, to send to someone. So I usually have a good old chat. I hope you don't mind till about 5 minutes past. And then we can get folding, because it usually takes people a few minutes to arrive. But I hope you're going to enjoy this. These things obviously can also be enjoyed as toys to fling through the air. They fling rather well. They probably won't with a piece of wool on them. But I think they look really lovely as decorations. Anchor, excellent. Yeah, exactly. I think some festive paper, thanks for that, would be perfect. So you could make one and then start making squares from different coloured festive papers, and that'll look really nice. So, and I love the Ninja Star because it's a little bit of a puzzle. It's not the easiest, but that's also what makes it a joy. So I'll be showing you the principle of it, and enjoy it will be a little adventure. So as always, grab something to press on, grab some paper. We're going to need 2 pieces, but even from 1A4 you could get the 2 pieces of paper. So I'm going to use one slightly different colour just because it'll help explain, and I'll use a scrap one for the other one. So here goes. I'm quite enjoying using bits of, actually in this case it's a bit of my drawing, it's a copy of it obviously. So I would suggest that you can make 2 squares from 1A4 paper. So I'm going to fold this in half like so. So I would recommend A4 and then 2 squares of paper, which is the usual size for origami, which is the sort of 15 centimeters. So if you're nice and exact, good strong fold, then you can rip it in half. That's great. So to make a square, you take a corner and line it up. Those of you who come along regularly, which is many of you, you'll see me doing this every time, but I am keen to show that you can just use any old paper. Make your own, you don't even need scissors. We're going to remove that rectangle. So turning it over. If you want me to repeat or show anything again, please pipe up. Obviously, I guess it's only if you're signed into YouTube that you can give comments. I know other people have been joining as well, and you can't always tell them. But hopefully it's rather nice to know this is absolutely live and we're all here together in this moment. I think I've been keen to maintain the Wellbeing Wednesdays. So I've made 1 square that size, and you need to make a second square of exactly the same size. This should be half a A4 as well. I thought I'd just show you the different colours. I'm keeping this pale paper because it means I can show you. You can see what's happening a bit more. If it's darker paper, it becomes more tricky. Get rid of this rectangle. We're almost there. Those of you who got your squares, just, a bit of chill out time. Knowing that things will happen. So we're removing that rectangle. Great. So it's a little bit like a mini modular because you've got 2 parts that are going to fit together. So I might keep my pattern. If you've got a pattern, then maybe having it on the underneath there will be good. So I'm opening up my squares, and all we're doing is making a rectangle first of all. So folding it over in half. So doing 1 and the second one too. All right, Eric, lovely to hear that you're doing origami for your friends, for your family abroad too. And I agree, we are very lucky. We have a lot to be thankful for. The world is not particularly fair, is it really? We have been very lucky. So that middle line, what we're going to do is take the outside and fold it to the middle line. So it's making like a little cupboard. Yeah, I don't blame you with social media. I am myself not a natural keen person on social media, but I very much used it to communicate my work, and it's come into its own, I think, during this time. And actually I just try to keep it positive and nice. That's, I think, the best way to go. People just want to see nice things, actually, I think, on the whole, outside, and then bringing in, obviously that's not what we necessarily experience through social media, but there are all sorts, aren't they? They can. That's right. So folding to the middle, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. You can always, Eric, if you did ever want to show a picture, look up the anti-boredom campaign, and that's me. Origami is as close as I found to a single answer to how to help with boredom. So it was actually pondering boredom only because of working with patients and realizing that that's a real problem for people, particularly in hospital. And it's such a taboo. Boredom for adults is not something that we like to mention. I don't think we even like to hear it. I think there is a real problem in that, where we'll be sympathetic towards loneliness, but we won't towards boredom. And actually, it's a little bit easier to have self-loneliness than boredom, which I think is quite widespread, really, associated with all sorts of negative things. And I think particularly people in hospital, it's very clearly because they don't have the opportunities to do things. So it's also got to be of interest as well. It's a fascinating area. Well, then you're very lucky, Eric. And I'm sure you've also worked at how to keep yourself engaged and inspired. I certainly think if you take up origami, you won't get bored. You really won't. So whenever I have the smallest feeling of that, I head towards either drawing or writing or origami. But I think we're lucky if we're creative, and not everyone's been encouraged in that way. So again, folding that in half. So you should have two pieces. Yeah. But I think in environments where you're really lacking opportunities of things to do, it is a problem. Too many interests, yeah. Sounds like me too. Oh, good for you. So think of these as two little pieces. We'll maybe just work on one first of all, and then I'll explain. But in essence, these two will be little mirror images of each other. They're going to be like little dancing partners that will end up fitting together. But if we just look at one first of all. So what we're going to do is take the top and fold it in a straight line, she says, lining it up there, like so. I really love ninja stars. They always make me think somehow. They're sharp and edgy and a bit exciting. So folding the top there. Doesn't actually matter which way you folded it, but the important point is at the bottom now you're going to go the other way. So my point's up here, so next I need to make my point there. So basically opposites to each other. There we go. So I've got one going one way, one going the other. Great. But I think actually a lot of people have lost their hobbies. I think people have just reached for phones and the internet, and actually they're a bit passive really, although I mean there is obviously interaction in there, but you're sort of seeking stimulation from others rather than finding something that engages your mind. So I wonder, yeah, maybe the more old school, I imagine, Eric, that you may be in the best possible way of these activities and ways of keeping up hobbies is very important. And I think a lot of people haven't developed that because there's always been other things to amuse, you know, to keep up interest. But actually long term, it's a little bit like snacking. It's not as satisfying as making something yourself and putting that effort in. So we're going to do, as I said, a mirror image. So what you've got to do is make sure that you've got your pocket there. Make sure that the other piece, if you hold up against it, has the pocket the same way round. Yeah. So you've got a pocket there, the same way round. Right. And our principle now is it's a mirror image of each other. So here I've got my point going there. Then in which case I need to get mine going that way. So it's like a little mirror image in the mirror. See, this is a drawing that I've done of red blood cells. There we go. So the bottom one, it's the same thing. Again, make sure you keep them the same way around. Is my point down here. So I want to do it so that they're in the mirror there. There we go. Yeah, sorry, Eric. This is a thick one, isn't it? It's also what makes it, I thought, quite good for putting through the post because they're quite strong. They're quite, I love the thickness of it because it feels quite chunky and considerable. But my apologies. Maybe it's possible to do this out of softer paper. So, right, our next move is to think this is almost half of a triangle. You want to do the other one so it's also a triangle. So it means you take this side and fold it in a straight line. And can you see then it looks like a matching triangle? So from the outside there, and I'm folding it to the middle line, like so. So it looks like that. Hope that's working for you. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Oh, I'm going to turn it around so I can see that there. So again, it needs to be a triangle, not a parallelogram, which is what it would be. Yeah, that's true. I've tended to use a thicker paper because I like it being chunky, but you're right, it's not very considerate to those who may find this pretty hard to do. It is quite a physical one, probably why I enjoy it. But yeah, again, this side, bringing it there, but there's always ways of adapting things, isn't it? I guess it sort of needs to be paper because at a later stage, I think something like tissue paper just wouldn't work. I don't think so. That's kind of half of your ninja star, and we can now do the other one. So again, got half of a triangle there. I'm going to do it so it matches. I guess maybe it's a bit like a mirror again. So it's a lovely little, I think, a spatial dance, this one, of how things mirror each other. I find very pleasing, and actually you have to think about it each time. There we go. And then again to the other side. Again, half of our triangle. We want to do the other one. Like so. And actually origami papers tend to be a little bit thinner, probably easier to use in your hands than copy paper, which I tend to use, but it is a little bit more solid, and for this it becomes really solid. So we've got our two halves. Are you all up to this point? Are you all good? You're all managing. Keeping up. Well done. Little pause. So yeah, these interesting little things. You can see they are a real marriage. We could really play around with all these things in many ways. Maybe there's many more things you could do with these little units. But the important thing is they mirror each other. So, which isn't what you normally do, I suppose, in modular origami. Actually, it has to be the same thing over and over again. So how to get these things together? So there's a smooth side and there's a pockety side. We keep the pockets on the outside because we're going to need to tuck things in on the outside. So smooth side, and on the other one, again, you've got a pockety side, you've got a smooth side or a pockety side. Let's go for the smooth side. So we're going to put the smooth sides together so that the pockets are on the outside. That's the key. And it's going to be in a sort of cross-like position. It's kind of like a swirling wheel at the moment. And the point of it is that these areas will be able to fold down to make the top of the star and fold into these little pockets. It's such a brilliant puzzle. So we might as well start. I hope, have you all managed to do that? Again, I can pause or explain again. So make sure pockets are on the outside, and then if it's crossed like this, it will all be in the same position. Great, thanks, Eric. You're very good. You're multitasking, aren't you? Not only are you folding, you're also typing too, and you can't really do both together. Thank you very much. So here, this top of the star, you can see that we can fold it down. You see, that's the principle, is this will fold in half and it can then tuck into the pocket like so. So that's one arm out of 4 that I've done there. That's a good idea. Yeah, festive paper would be a really nice, nice present. I think so. I thought this year I'm going to make friends and family just really nice origami things, actually. I think they mean more, don't they, honestly, than something bought from a shop. So I like to go from one side to another. I find it tends to fit together better that way. So I've done one side. Now I'm going to turn it to the other. And let me see. And again, it's the same principle that you're folding this down. There we go. And again, it is pretty thick. Sorry, Eric. It's not the easiest. And again, I can then fit it into the pocket. And as with all origami, it's only, yeah. It's quite a tricky one. It looks surprisingly simple, but there's quite a bit to it. But I think that's also what makes it special. It's a strong thing. Well, this is probably why it make a good weapon. If Christmas gets too much, then I could just chuck it across. Right, and then to the other side, it's the same thing again. You've got one of these, which is waiting to be folded over. And again, you should be able to lift up that flap and tuck it under. It is thick. Have you all made ninja stars before? Is this something you've done before? Or is this a new experience? I do love it. Surprisingly nice. Isn't that lovely already? I think it's this dynamic kind of feel to it. And then we've just got one more to go. A different fold. Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting. So there's probably many ways to do these things, isn't there? So at this point, I'm going to get some wool. So if you have any wool or string, I recommend that this is a good time, or you could open up one of the slots later on and add it if you haven't got it at this point. So I'm going to sort of tuck it into that slot, which will be folding over, and then it means it's all really nicely in there, like so. Oh, interesting. Maybe you made this when you were younger, I guess, Galen. It's a good puzzle, isn't it? So this will be your final bit. You may find that you need to shift things around, so this isn't tightly in, and actually it won't all manage to fit together unless you get things really sharply lined up. As I said, it's a puzzle, but it's also what keeps it nice and tight and quite strong. So I'm folding over that final piece, and there'll be a little gap there. You sometimes need to bring it back in order to open up that slot. And this is probably the trickiest stage. If you're doing it very small, I've been with the metallic paper, I've ended up having to use like a paper knife just to be able to open up the slot enough. But you should be able to get it in the slot and push it in. And then it's rather nice because the wool will then stay in there and it makes a really nice angle. Oh, hello Paula. Thank you for dropping by. I guess it's Thanksgiving, isn't it? Quite soon as well, which I guess is such a big thing, isn't it, in America? Hope you'll all be right. I guess it's the equivalent here for Christmas. Lots of people meeting up. I'm not meeting up anyone. Be antisocial. Not necessarily a bad thing. Anyway, there we go. It's lovely to see you, Paula. Obviously, I can't see you, but thank you for joining us. Yeah. Oh, yes, it is. It's tomorrow, isn't it? Yeah. Wow. So hopefully that's it. Doesn't it hang nicely? And yeah, Paula, I'm sure you've made this before, but I've obviously added this as a video as well. So this is obviously something you can either look at afterwards, this live stream, or you can look at the one that I've recorded. I'm also, you're very welcome, Stephen. I may also be adding in kind of extra videos over this time. I'm thinking it's a generous time of giving, like Thanksgiving, and it'd be really nice to kind of offer extra folds for festivity and coming together at this time, and also to make gifts for friends and family. So, oh, I've finished my new book. Wow, that's really cool. Gosh, amazing. You're Eric. You're doing so much. Good for you. It's a good way to do it. Excellent. Yeah. So I'll be adding lots of things, and they will hopefully be really nice things to either share or to make to decorate your own home as well as giving to others. So thank you very much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed that. As I said, I've enjoyed making little ones. They're almost like pieces of jewelry. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Yeah, lovely papers. So maybe see if you've got any nice wrapping paper and things. You can start making some yourself all the bits of wool. I think they look really good as decorations. Very flat for posting. So maybe something I thought was good to share at this point. So wishing you all a good rest of your week. Happy Thanksgiving to those in the US. And wishing you all well. Yeah, Chris's earrings. Yes, keep away from me. I've got ninja stars. Yeah, take care, everyone. And I'll be back here next Wednesday, and we'll be adding on another video on Sunday usually as well. Take care. Bye-bye.